so please go ahead. Thank you very much. My name is welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm so happy to July 15th arrived, and we have this one of a series of webinars under the Global Book Alliance. Global Book Alliance has existed for over 10 years. But recently we have we're relaunching the Global Book Alliance as an independent NGO to continue the mission of the alliance, basically to promote and advocate for books that children need in their schools and their homes. I think one of the basic missions of the GBA is to speak about how do you get the quality books in the language that the child can read on day one. I always keep it very simple. We really need those books at the school or in the home or where they learn on day one. And so there's many challenges, and even now we have despite all the changes in international development, we still continue to have that challenge and we want to raise it. Number two, we organize events like the ones we're going to talk to you about at the end of this session. Again, raising the importance of literacy and the use of quality books, quality content, both printed, digital, and mixed media. I know many of you already know about this, and we just want to continue holding that flag as we proceed to 25, 26, and beyond. Last but not least, we also going under this new GBA, independent GBA, we're going to promote research, basically what on these 6 steps of the book supply chain, book supply demand. Where are we? What's been changing? How can we improve it? How do we assist ministries and local districts and schools or NGOs who are working with lots of schools and to get quality books in the sense of materials for learning to children on day one. Anyway, so that was the GBA. Very quickly, I wanted to introduce our 3 speakers. And well, first of all, housekeeping. 2 things very important is as the speakers will be presenting, we would welcome everybody to put your questions on the chat box. Our colleagues here will be monitoring the chat box, taking note of some of these questions, and these questions will be addressed at 10:40, 40 past the hour, and so that we can keep the flow. And number 2, we have also a poll that you will see in a minute here on the chat about what are the favorite books that you see, what are the best sellers in your work. I assume most of you are in development and or have worked in many marginalized communities, and you know 1 or 2 books that have really impacted. Almost, I would say, are books that sell themselves. Children just love to read them. They're looking for them, and so. If you don't mind, we are trying to get this sort of ad hoc little research going, because and try to track what are those most popular books in marginalized communities, in French, in Spanish, in English, in local languages, in etc. And of course, also books for children with disabilities. Very important that we also count them in and take them into account. Let me really quickly introduce our 3 speakers. As I said, my name is Sergio Ramirez. Sergio Ramirez Mena. I have to introduce here. I have the pleasure to introduce Dr. Catherine Katie Honeyman. She's the country director for Laterite in Rwanda. She's an expert in quality education, early literacy, soft skills development, youth employment, and entrepreneurship. She has lots of experience in research and policy analysis, monitor evaluation, project implementation in a variety of contexts, including Rwanda, where she's based now, Colombia, Honduras, Pakistan, Algeria, Iraq, and El Salvador. As I said, she is the current country director for Laterite, and she will be presenting us a very interesting findings from Bombo Books in Kigali, and what she found out about what are the books that children really like to read. Second on our list of speakers is Mr. Cyprien Bunani, also based in Rwanda. He's the Chief Executive Officer for EDC, Education Development Consult, and it's a firm in Rwanda. He has more than 10 years of experience in early childhood, project planning, project management, monitoring and evaluation, child advocacy. Cyprien has a master's degree in planning management, bachelor's in education, a certificate in early childhood education from Australia, and a certificate from Gateway to grant from World Vision US. He will also, Cyprian will tell us sort of a very granular what he'll go deeper into a specific examples in his own experience in Rwanda of books that have been developed and have multiplied, have gone to scale in a sense, and become very popular. Last but not least, our third speaker, her name is Yuming Lee. She's a researcher at the World Bank currently. She's a policy advisor and committed to driving impact through actionable evidence. She's got 19 years of experience in teaching and policy. It has led interdisciplinary projects to support underprivileged children schools in Africa, Asia, and Central America. Her work focuses on strengthening teacher effectiveness, support systems, including leadership and parent collaboration. She will be in this for this seminar webinar. She will be talking about her recent project, also based in Rwanda, that examines children's book preferences and reading motivations. The study is called "Books That Talk About My Dreams: Connecting What Children Want to Read to publishing and policy." So, with that and with further ado, thank you, Katie. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you so much, Sergio. It's great to see everyone here, and especially to greet many friends, many old friends. Thank you for joining. I'm really pleased to speak with you today, not so much about my work, but more about my hobby. And this hobby is it's an action research question. How do we make books available to children in their own neighborhoods through self-sustaining libraries? So that is it's a social enterprise that I started with the support of my family called Bombo Books, and it's located in my neighborhood in Kigali. The neighborhood is called Niboye. Today, I'd love to talk with you particularly about what I've learned from this experience regarding what children want to read and the fact that they want to read in the first place. I think that's where we have to start when we're talking about what children want to read. We have to first establish that, in fact, this is an activity they would like to engage in. Next slide, please. This is a picture of my neighborhood. You can see the kids are out playing football in the street. If your eye follows down the road to the left, a little bit further past that gray building, that's where our library is. It's located in a small space, the kind of space that would usually be occupied by a corner shop. And it's both a library, a bookstore, and a snack shop, and a toy shop, and a place to get lessons in English and the computers. It's many things packed into a small space. But what I really want you to look at here is this is my neighborhood, and this is what children most love to do in my neighborhood. They're out on the street, they're playing football, they're having a great time. You can see here that I live in a mixed income neighborhood. So we have children who are doing well, they're enrolled in good schools, living right alongside children from houses that are food insecure, that typically have only one parent. Many of the parents are street traders, so they're moving around with fruits and vegetables for sale, or they're doing day labor jobs, or washing clothes. Those are some of the typical occupations in my neighborhood. And these kids that you're seeing in the picture, I know many of them personally. Most of them have repeated at least one primary grade, and in many cases, they have repeated more than one time and or have gaps in their education experience. So they're out of school for more than a year due to family issues. So the question here is, do these children want to read? And if so, what do they want to read? A couple of years ago, I did an experiment. It was National Literacy Month here, and I brought some books out to this street just to see what it would happen. I greeted the kids. They all immediately stopped their football game, came up to me, and asked if they could look at the books. And what happened after that was that they sat all along the side on the walls on the edge of the road, sitting two or three at a time, reading the books I had brought. And that, to me, the fact that they were willing to stop a football game to read, it was a very powerful evidence that children, they do want to read, they do want access to books, and they will make choices to spend their time in that way instead of doing another favorite activity. The next couple of slides show what that looked like when we were trying to offer choice of books from our home. If we can go to the next slide. Here you can see some of the kids that often gather at our house on the weekend. And at this time, we were offering just baskets full of books from our personal collection and asking them to choose. So here, really, I already got a sense of what the kids are attracted to, what they want to read, but also just the voraciousness. By the end of the year, every child in this group had read every book that we had in Kinyarwanda. Next slide. Here again, you can see them enjoying being able to choose and sitting down to read. So I think the question then is, what are they choosing and why are they choosing those books? That's what I want to talk about today before I hand over to colleagues who are going to talk more about developing those books that children want to read. Here we have the shop, Bombo Books, where kids can access, so you can kind of see what it looks like. And this is what we're doing right now to provide access to books for kids in the neighborhood on a more permanent basis. They can drop by anytime they want to. Next slide. What I'm going to briefly present about is that experience of Bombo Books for its first year from April 1st. I deliberately set up this venture to have a way of tracking some data. So I've cited here the apps that we use. They're free apps. It was an experiment in seeing how to create a social enterprise at a very low cost that's also gathering information about what people like. And here you can see that I used an app, a POS app called Loiverse, to track book borrowing, reading, and then various purchases at the same time. We also have a library management app. And here I'm presenting very simple statistics about the 7,194 transactions that occurred during that year. And this is some descriptive statistics, and I also used AI to explore the data a little bit and some relationships. And I have a little bit more to share reflecting children's experiences and perspectives from a writing competition. Go on. Here are a couple of the ladies who recently won a writing competition. And in the center is an entry from a young woman named Becky. I just wanted to read to you her statement, which shows that children really do make choices to read. This is something that they exercise their own choice and will over. She wrote, "Today I'm going to tell you about what Bombo Books brought to my life. I first went there when I was 11 years old. At that time, you had to pay 100 francs to use the library. That's about 7 US cents. I didn't know how to read, but whenever I got 100 francs to get something to eat, I would save it instead and take it to Bombo Books so that I could read." And this child who I've been following for about 2 years now, you can see her ability to write and definitely her ability to read have both advanced through her access to books in the first place. Next one. So what do they choose when they're coming to read? The data shows, first of all, that overwhelmingly the children in my neighborhood want to read books in Kinyarwanda. It's difficult for me to get books in Kinyarwanda because I have to purchase them new. And even though there's been a huge efflorescence of publishers in Rwanda over the past 15 years or so, There's still limited production of these books. So it's the smallest part of my collection. I have over 1,200 books, but only about 150 of them are in Kinyarwanda. But you can see here that this is the category of books that so many children come into my library chose. We had 1,267 Kinyarwanda books read during the year, with, of course, repeat reading of the same books. And after that comes, I have a large collection of English in many categories. So they also love picture books. They're really looking for books at a reading level that they can access and with plenty of graphics. And you can also see that they prefer comics and graphic novels. Um, and I have books like this one, which is children's reference books, plenty of images again. They really like things like this. I also have bilingual materials. This is English and Kinyarwanda. Um, but as you go down the list, you'll see also that the only category of adult books that was accessed is also Kinyarwanda adult and youth books. And on the right-hand side of the slide are the categories of books that very few people chose. So here I think it's quite evident that language is the number one factor that's attracted to the books that they can easily read and understand. Next slide. Next slide, please. I don't know if it's my internet, but I'm not seeing the next slide. Could you change to the next slide?
Yes, it's in trends.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
Is it the graphic?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, there it came up. It's just an internet delay on my side. No problem. So choice over time. The other thing that you can see from this is that this top line on this chart, it corresponds to the Kinyarwanda children's books. And here you can see that over time, the number of children coming and reading changed, but this always remained the top category. But we did see these certain points in time when the interest spiked, and that was when we had new book supply. So the children are really attracted by variety. They don't necessarily want to repeatedly read the same thing, which makes sense. Let's continue. Here, I've already mentioned it, so the trends show a clear preference for Kinyarwanda. They are also interested in English and French, especially with pictures. But the AI exploration I did of the 7,000 transactions shows that the children who read in English or French seem to be from a higher socioeconomic category. They have some disposable income that they're also using to purchase candy or snacks while they read, versus the children choosing Kinyarwanda books who typically only come to read. And right now that's free for them for the at least 30 minutes. So it's really showing that there's also a bifurcation. And as I mentioned, new books and variety matter to these children. So what kind of books are they interested in? The next slide gives one child's perspective. I can't see the slide change, but I'm hoping it'll come. If you're seeing a young man right now, his name is Hervé. Can you try one more time to change the slide for me?
yes, it is. There's a young man with a paper. Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Sergio. Are you able to read the bottom left? Because I can't
Yes.
see it right now.
It says, I didn't know that children should get more attention than adults. I read a book called Umwana Muryango na Rwanda. After reading it, I went home and played with our baby, and he was happy.
Umuryango Nyarwanda.
Yep.
I'll continue for you. After reading it, I went home and played with our baby, and he was happy. So this particular child wrote to me about books that he selected that clearly had a relationship to his life. And when he picked them up and read them, he immediately went back and did something about them. So in this case, it's a child who was looking for something that related to the experiences of his own life. Let's go to the next slide.
Showing it's called Amazi, number 1, 48 readers.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There's just a delay on my end. I'm coming to the end, and I want to conclude by showing you the covers of the top 10 books that children. And number 1 is this book, Amazi, Water Plays in Our Lives. And because in the library we show the books with the covers facing out, so they're really attractive to children. I think it's important to see these covers and what's appealing to them. So here we have this very inviting image that's showing kind of a path to something and a topic that relates to their lives. Can we go to the next slide? The other 9 books that made the top 10 categories, they include, as you'll see, many more Kinyarwanda language children's books. But the number 2 position went to the English for Rwandan primary schools, a textbook that matches the first grade English curriculum. So the children are also choosing and interested in studying to do better at school. The other books include ones about the games they play, about visiting parks to go to. A child, Keza, who looks like maybe she's carrying a computer. Tierra Habayeho, which is about children, stories about Rwandan history, written for children. They love this book. And then the number 8 is a graphic novel or a comic book called Teen Titans Go. Whenever I have more of these, that's one of the first things they look for. They just love, I think, these vibrant, funny images. Number 9 is some talking soap. Let's go to the last screen. The last one on here, I've joked that I'm not sure we can really call it reading because the last one is Where's Waldo, which mostly involves looking for tiny pictures. But what I think the children love about this is it's something they can look at with their friends. We usually see a group of kids clustered around this book trying to search for Waldo. So in the last slide, if you're on it, you can also just see something more of what. And what I want you to take away from this is first that definitely children do make the choice to read when they have the opportunity to access books. And they have clear opinions about what they want to read, not only the language, but also the subject and the attractiveness of the covers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. This is wonderful. I mean, it's very graphic, and I'm just happy to know that there's more than 8. I can count more than 18, 3 different continents, and more than 18 different cities that I could count here from people from connecting right now. Let me go now to Mr. Cyprien Bunani. Cyprien, could you tell us a little bit more of your experience, specific examples of books that children really want to read, and why, and how were they, from your experience in as well? Go ahead, Cyprien.
Hello, everyone.
Cyprien, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. This is Cyprian speaking from Kigali, Rwanda. This is the book's development in Rwanda. So as previously mentioned, I'm coming from Rwanda. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Education Development Consult. Next slide. So this is the small table of content of what I'm going to talk about. Next slide. So I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Education Development Consult. Basically, Education Development Consult, we are just developing engaging books that are helping the children to read in Kinyarwanda, English, and French. So next slide. So basically, Education Development Consult is educational consulting company which is regularly registered in Rwanda with the focus of including the quality of education. And also Education Development Consult is providing for expertise, mainly it's a research and evaluation. Currently, we are conducting learning achievement in Rwandan schools RARS 2025 closely with the Australian Council for Education Research. That is about research. And we are also developing teaching and learning materials, including books. And we are also enhancing education technology and the curriculum and capacity building as well. So that's about Education Development Consult. Next slide. So number 2, it's about EDC's experience in developing books. Next. Basically, after having the shortage of different books, specifically the storybooks in schools, in the community, so Education Development Consult, which I'm leading, has just started the process of developing different books. So in the past 4 years, Education Development Consult, closely with our illustrators, writers, editors, and designers, has been able to write more than 120 different titles in Kinyarwanda, English, and French, just to help learners to improve their instructional literacy, of course, in Kinyarwanda, English, and French. Those books really were approved by Rwanda Basic Education Board. Rwanda Basic Education Board is implementing agent from Ministry of Education, which is executing all education related policies in Rwanda. So, and all of those books were approved to be used in Rwandan schools and in the communities. Next slide. So basically, the books were developed based on the national curriculum themes like STEM, social emotional learning, gender equality, communication, child protection, and environmental protection. The books were leveled and approved by Rwanda Basic Education Board, as previously said, to be used in Rwandan schools. So among those books, the most popular books that we have the book called Zeru Yabai Umuhuza. So really, this book is very popular. The children in the schools, the children in the community loved it very much. And this book was developed closely with the selected children from community as a part of the community engagement. Basically, when you go down on the village, we selected the children. Then we have encouraged them to write some books. Then they have just elaborated some content. We have helped those learners to finalize that book. So surprisingly, that book has gotten 99% of marks from Rwanda Basic Education Board when they have been approving it. And when we deployed when we distributed in the community, so it was really popular book. So what we realized from here is that when you engage the children from the community and support in providing different ideas, those books are really engaging, number 1. Number 2, it's age appropriate. And number 3, it's culturally related. So engaging children in books development is very important. Next slide. Okay, if we continue with our experience in developing books, basically developing all of those 120 storybooks, we found that the children with visual and hearing difficulties were not able to access them. When you take them in the community, in the village, in the libraries, so the children with visual and hearing difficulties couldn't access those content. So that's why it came up to our attention that we need to make them accessible, so that the children with the hearing and visual difficulties can access those books. So we have initiated the project called including reading space enhancement with technology, where we have developed EDC Soma mobile application, and we digitalized the books in Kinyarwanda, English, and French, so that all the children can access them via Android device, including mobile phones, at zero cost and in offline mode. So for the children who were not able to access those books, when they couldn't see, they at least use the buttons at the extent that they could hear the voice, so that they were able to access the whole book. When a child uh, couldn't speak, so we have also included sign language to interpret each page of the book. So with that model, have been able to reach more than 8,000 of children across the country, and 30% of those children were the children with disabilities. So, and that project has been embraced and endorsed by Rwanda Basic Education Board to be deployed in all schools in Rwanda. Next slide. So I have spoken about this. Move forward. Another slide. So basically, I'm going to talk about the role of private sector in books development and accessibility in Rwanda. Basically, of course, the government of Rwanda has initiative of developing, of having all children accessing all books, and making sure that the policies that are in place are supporting the numeracy and literacy, as it is highlighted in education sector strategic plan. But that can't be fully executed unless the private sector is engaged. So next slide. So the private sector engagements provide a quality foundation learning in Rwanda is very significant in general, and in books development, accessibility and availability to students in particular. Basically, most of publishers who are working from Rwanda are the part of private sector. So most of the books that have been developed, including education development concern, so it were developed by the private sector, private companies. So private sector is very important, and private sector is developing the books from which the children are loving to read. An example is that Zeru Yabai Mukhu's book that I shared with you. You can even see it on our website. I hope that they'll be sharing our website link on chat. Next slide. So the private sector is also enhancing the book's accessibility through printing those books and make sure that they are in the libraries. And also the private sector is enhancing the book's accessibility to runners, parents, and community through establishing the books selling sites, marketing the books in the schools, and making open educational resources at affordable price with the use of technology. Next slide. So private sector is collaborating with different partners. So basically, the primary partner for publishers in Rwanda is Rwanda Basic Education Board, which is on daily basis providing the technical expertise and the guidelines to publishers, provide the quality books to children. Next slide. So basically, apart from the group WhatsApp, which connects REB senior leadership and the publishers, REB is currently having the quarterly meeting with all publishers to provide updates, guidance, and encouragement, provide the quality books. Surprisingly, the chair of the meeting of that quarterly meeting is the Rwanda Basic Education Board Director General. So DG Director General has provided well-detailed books writing guidelines to all publishers to ensure the quality of books production. So basically, Rwanda Basic Education Board, as education-related implementing agents for government, has really provided the writing guidelines from which all publishers in Rwanda has to follow. So which is just helping the publishers to develop the books that children want to read. So the other development partners like World Vision, Save the Children, help a child care, and help a child are procuring the books from publishers, even though the purchase power is still limited based on the need of the books in schools. Basically, we need more books in schools, but when you look at how the children, how the books are reaching the schools, the frequency or the purchase power is still limited. But good enough is that all of those books development guidelines, approval processes, whatever are in place, and the publishers are motivated to develop books. So even though the progress is very nice in Rwanda, but still there is some challenges. So the Rwanda Ministry of Education development partners have provided significant efforts to advance the private sector engagement to improving the foundational running. Next slide. However, there is still some challenges that need to be addressed. One, the purchase power of the books is still limited. There is no book supply chain schedules. The label approval process is taking longer than expected. There is no open educational resources with technology for books affordability. The printing price is still very high. And also there is a limited number of illustrators, so which means that there is a need more emphasis on how the training of illustrators can be enhanced so that we can have more illustrators to illustrate good illustrations with affordable price. So this is some recommendations that I can point to everyone who can just develop the books. One in each country has to involve the publishers in the books approval process. For example, Education Development Consult is working from Kenya. So we are closely working with the KCD. KCD means Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development. So the publishers are fully engaged in the book approval process, which is making it quicker. So if different countries are involving the publishers in book approval process, so that country can have more books and which are age appropriate, engaging, and also culturally related with and meeting the curriculum expectations. So there is a need of continuous building of capacity of publishers to generate the quality and affordable books. So when the publishers are many in the country, when many books are developed at high quantity, so the books become affordable. So there is a need of establishing the book supply chain policy and schedules in different countries, enhancing the technology to enhance the digital library system, and elaborating the book's approval process. So before I go to the end of this presentation, I would like to emphasize that when the children from the community are engaged in books development, they produce more engaging books, and the other children also love those books. Number two, it is better that the books which are being developed have to be culturally sensitive in that country, to make sure that at least the children are understanding the context of those books. Three is that the children love the books where there is good illustrators. For example, here we have the book called Trees Are Life. So this book has been written by a child. So that child is from the village in the part of the country there is a lot of trees. So that child has written this book based on those trees which are in their village. So, and this book is Trees Are Life is really popular in different parts of this country. Next slide. So thank you so much. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cyprian. I think there's so much information. I love those recommendations, clear. In the interest of time, I would love to react to them. Let me put, because we're a little bit behind time, let me put Yaming Lee here. She's connected now. Go ahead, Yaming, with your presentation. Go ahead, please.
I think someone else has to share the screen. I don't have that feature. Oh, okay, I do. Sorry about that. All right, so hello everyone. It's really great to see you all virtually. My name is Xiangmin Lee. I'm a Foundation Literacy Specialist at the World Bank. And I recently conducted a research study with the primary school children in Rwanda. So in today's presentation, I will share what I learned through that study, and I will also reflect on what these findings might mean for how we think about publishing and policy for children's book in Rwanda and other similar contexts. So why children's book choices matters? So there is a strong global evidence that when children read more frequently at an earlier ages, they develop stronger reading skills and love of reading. And that love of reading in turn motivates children to read even more. So sort of creating a positive cycle of reading growth. And however, this cycle doesn't always exist in places we work, but one way to create and support this positive cycle is really giving children access to the books that they really enjoy reading. But in places like Rwanda or other similar contexts, we still know very little about what types of books the children really want to read and what motivates those children's preferences. And in Sub-Saharan Africa in general, most book-related policy or program discussions remain focused on the textbook access or school-related materials. So providing children with diverse reading materials beyond the textbooks still remains as more like a policy aspiration rather than everyday reality. So my study tried to fill this gap and sort of exploring what kinds of books children, different reasons in Rwanda want to read, and what motivates those interests, and what challenges the children may face in accessing the books that they really want to read at home. And I spoke with 50 children from grades 1 to 6, and some of them were girls and others were boys. And children are from different locations, including rural areas, semi-urban and urban areas, like Kigali. And because of the time limit, I'll just share a few key findings today. And if you want to, if you'd like to read the full article, and I'm happy to share it after this webinar. So this table basically summarizes 3 key things. the types of books that children want to read, and the actual books or the books that children can actually access at home, and the kind of books that parents prioritizing when they purchase books for their children. So as you can see from the first three columns, children that I spoke were interested in a variety or a wide range of books. They were interested in a wide variety of books, and those books included fiction or creative texts, including storybooks or religious texts, poetry, and historical books, and even arts. And they were also interested in nonfiction books, including books about technical, science, technology, or language, even self-help books. However, the actual access was very limited. You can see from the next two columns that maybe some children had access to storybooks, but more than 50% of children that I met had no books at home other than textbooks, and 6% children actually had no book, not even textbooks. And this limited access at home closely resembles or closely mirrors what parents tend to purchase for children when it comes to books. And what the books parents prioritize typically are school textbooks or other academic activity related books. So when we look at, okay, so one thing I would say one key themes emerge from this table when we look at it together. That is children's interest in books. Children are interested in books, and their interest in books far exceeds what their home environments or family support currently provide. Just a second. So in this webinar, we collectively, we have explored three different perspectives. And I think Catherine's story around actual borrowing data from the Bomba book shows that what children would actually choose when they are given opportunities to choose the books that they'd love to read. Then Cyprian's publishing experience highlighted both the promises or the challenges that private publishers may run into in their effort to develop and distribute locally developed or locally relevant books. And then my conversations with children in different communities in Rwanda reveal that even in places where there are no home or community libraries like Baba Books, children still develop and sustain strong interest in a wide variety of books. And together, these three perspectives point to a shared theme, which is children want to read and they know what they exactly want to read, but the system isn't fully meeting them where they are. So what does all of these stories and experiences we had, individually, collectively tell us when it comes to connecting what children want to read to broader publishing and policy discourses in Rwanda and beyond? I think there are three key messages. The first is I personally feel it's very encouraging to see that children are able to develop and sustain a strong desire to read, even in places where their home libraries or community libraries are extremely limited. And from both from the borrowing book at the Bamba Books and my conversation with the children, we now actually have a better understanding of what kinds of books the children want to read. And I think this understanding could really encourage us as a global education community to broaden our efforts to create and distribute the kinds of books the children love reading beyond school textbooks and beyond academic related books. It also opens up opportunities for the government, publishers, and other development partners to recognize and respond to what children are asking for. And I'm very pleased, again, personally, that publishers like Cyprian's company are beginning to respond to children's interest. And I think this kind of effort could be replicated in other settings to better align the books we publish or the programs we design or the policies we would support with what children actually say they want to read. And of course, this doesn't mean that every book needs to match children's preferences. And adults and former institutions still play an important role in ensuring that books are developmentally or culturally appropriate. And also we could introduce topics that children might not choose on their own initially to make sure that we allow or enable their reading experiences richer and deeper. But I think listening to children, including those in remote or rural communities, can really help us build the systems that are very inclusive and more relevant and ultimately more effective for children's reading experience based on what they actually want to read. So with that, I will end my presentation. Thank you so much, and I'll hand it over back to Sergio.
So, Martin, gosh, this is such a rich conversation. I'm looking at the questions, and I also look at always time. I wanted to sort of ask one question to each, to one or two questions. What I propose is we'll collect these questions that are on the other questions that are not get answered, and send them to the speakers, and they may be able to send the replies, and we will share the answers so that everybody's questions can be answered with the limited time we have. So Megan, would you like to ask a couple of questions maybe, and then and for our speakers, a very brief answer as possible?
Of course. Thanks, Sergio. Looks like Catherine did a great job answering some questions in the chat, but we do have an outstanding question about the least and highest volumes of the books in your store in Bombo, and whether or not they're curriculum based in stories. If you want to kind of elaborate on that variety you have there, as well as there's a question about modeling reading to them and how you might engage with them that way. So Catherine, I'll hand it over to you for that.
Thanks. Very briefly, in the volume of our collection. First of all, the collection is my family's personal collection of books. It happens to be 1,223 books, so I'm happy to be able to share them with other people. And the greatest number that I have is children's picture books in English, with 200 copies. As I mentioned, the Kinyarwanda, which I've been actively trying to build, I have 137 books in that area. The other categories, and there's quite a number of other categories, include between 20 and 100 per category. And that includes the graphic novels, the reference books for children, reference books for adults. I have religious books. I have intermediate and easy chapter books. I have early readers and decodables. So I have a wide range. Regarding reference books, I did invest in finding legally sold textbooks in English. There's not actually a private market for textbooks here legally. Only previous years, there were some private publishers that were allowed to sell on the market, but right now, the current textbooks can't be sold. So that does limit a little bit my ability to provide textbooks, but I have different study materials, even, for example, old exam papers that the government publishes for practice and other things. So children do get access to those. And we do have, on the weekend, 2 occasions when the young people that I employ, they have some group activities like a story hour to bring kids in. And I'd like to say that a lot of the modeling happens between children. There are so many children who bring their younger siblings in and read to them. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much, Katie. A quick question for Cyprian. It's kind of it might be suited for a long answer, but if we can, try to keep it quick, and then as Sergio said, we can kind of elaborate in a follow-up email. But Cyprian, what challenges and opportunities are you facing in distribution? And I'm going to leave the AI question off for now since we're addressing that in the future. But yeah, so challenges and opportunities you're facing in distribution, Cyprian. Cyprian, it looks like you're muted.
How about that?
All right, can you hear me?
Thank you, Cyprian. 1 minute, please.
All right, thank you so much. Basically, one quick challenge that I can say is that books distribution is very expensive because most of the schools are in rural areas, so it is very hard to take them from that area. Transport is very expensive. The opportunity which is there is that basically the government policy at least is friendly and is supporting the books distribution in schools. It's an integral part of education policy in Rwanda.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cyprian, for your answer, quick answer. As I said, we're going to prepare like a Q&A and share with everybody who registered so that you get a full and more rich response to your questions, which are great. You mean, very quickly, what is the role of a book policy? Just, I know that just to be fair with everybody, just a very quick, what have you seen as a national book policy, which is a topic we want to address in future webinars? Just a real quick answer, please.
Yeah. So, to my best knowledge, there recently published a sort of overview of national book policies across the continent, and key theme, of course, key theme was that how to create a strong reading culture, nationwide reading culture. And however, like I earlier alluded to, highlighted a little bit, much of the current discussion is focused on textbook issues, which makes sense because even at the school where the teaching and learning takes place in primarily, children do not have textbooks. So it's very important that we ensure that quality textbooks are there. However, we also know from the huge amount of research globally that the types and the variety of books that children are exposed to matter, and textbooks sometimes are limited in terms of bringing that diversity into children's experience. So I would encourage that even at the discourse level, the college level, program level, how we can think about the way we think about book beyond textbooks and start thinking about the diversity, the richness of textbooks, and including local languages and culture and different types and genres of books. And sort of quickly want to comment where we can start this broader, rich reading culture is at home, definitely, in addition to school. And at home, I like this comment from one of the participants, how we can encourage parents to create sort of book-friendly environment at home. So one thing that earlier Kathleen mentions that sometimes kids come with their siblings and they love to read to each other. And there is evidence that when parents are basically illiterate, which is sad statistic, but in many cases that's the case. So maybe parents cannot always provide the level of support that they want to because of this limitation in their literacy skills. But in that circumstance, children to children or sibling to sibling interaction, reading interaction can mitigate some of the limited support the parents can provide. That's one thing. And also in places like Rwanda, government has really putting a lot of effort to create community-based libraries, public libraries, which is also complemented by private support, like a private libraries. But what happened is that parents are not always aware that they actually have access to those public libraries. And second, even they have access, sometimes those libraries may ask the parents to pay for the damage or loss of books. So that creates a lot of fear among parents that they don't want to take a risk of having to pay the money when their financial situation is already difficult. So I think definitely we can start thinking about like parent awareness and support, but this all of support should definitely be accompanied by the system level effort for the government, for the other stakeholders to make sure that book policies are aware they exist and the book policies capture thorough variety books beyond textbooks, and those book policies clearly aware some of the individual or systemic challenges parents and children may experience, even for access to available resources. So I think we have a lot of work to do, and I'm kind of glad that this community, Global Book Alliance, is there, so we can continue discussing these kind of issues step by step. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'm just wrapping it up. I think you can see, I don't know if you see a presentation, my invitation to the International Literacy Day. Can you see it, by the way? Or should I? Maybe I should. Can you see it, Jimmy?
Yep.
The ILD? Okay, great. I don't see it on my. Thank you, Cyprian. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Yuming, for this wonderful. I said this time is always challenging because there's so much I would like to unpack on all three presentations. Very quickly, thank you everybody for attending the Global Book Alliance series. We're going to continue with further webinars every other month. The one thing I wanted to, before we wrap up, is the International Literacy Day, September 16th at the World Bank. Is from 10 to 1, really 9 to 1, and we please check your emails, check your newsletters. We would love to have everybody, and of course the team that is here participating on our to celebrate Literacy Day. We're at the World Bank in collaboration with the Early Learning Reading Network, which has been supporting us as well. Other than that, I would like to thank you. We will get back to you with some of these answers because there's so much to say. And thank you very much, my team here, the GBA team that produced this, Shaknusa, Megan, Annie. I hope Shakil connected with us as well, Shakil Malik as well. And please stay tuned. Follow us on LinkedIn. And I'm glad that I connected with several people over messages. I'll get back to you all. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.